These long dog days of summer, I mean, we just made it through a heat wave. Mama was parched through this heat wave. I was hitting up Dunkin' every single day, and I will continue to probably for the rest of my days, but especially this summer. Dunkin' is helping everyone stay cool this summer with its lineup of refreshers. These drinks are packed with bold, fruity flavors and served ice cold. It's amazing. Dunkin' refreshers are the perfect afternoon pick-me-up. I like to start my morning with them personally, and then sometimes I go back for a second one because I'm just feeling crazy. They come in a variety of delicious flavors, including fan favorites mango pineapple and strawberry dragon fruit. And then for a limited time, there's black cherry and there's pink pineapple. I'm going to tell you something right now, and it's a bold claim, let me tell you, but I stand behind it. Pink pineapple will change your life. It is so good. It has me feeling like I'm sitting in a pool, resort side, just living, honey. It's so yummy. Try your favorite flavor with green tea, sparkling water, lemonade, or Dunkin's all-new limeade. I haven't tried the limeade yet, but I'm going to. Usually I get my drinks made with green tea and occasionally lemonade, but I do really like the green tea. Or if you don't want to build your own, try one of Dunkin's curated refreshers like the Cherry Lime Ricky or the Ultimate Pink Daydream. The Cherry Lime Ricky, scrumptious. I could drink like 3 of these a day. They're so freaking yummy. Head to Dunkin' today and find your favorite refresher. Dunkin' refreshers contain less than 1% fruit juice. Limited time offer. You know what's really terrifying? That unfinished college degree lurking in the background, just sitting there waiting for you. That's where Southern New Hampshire University comes in. With flexible online degree programs, there's no commuting, no rigid schedule, and no more excuses. Plus, they have some of the lowest online tuition rates in the U.S. Visit snhu.edu/morbid to learn more before your degree becomes just another story about what could have been. Chilling crime cases are mysterious, but finding coverage shouldn't be. With the State Farm Personal Price Plan, you have options and can personalize your plan to help create an affordable price so you can get back to cracking all of life's bigger cases. Talk to a State Farm agent today to learn how you can choose to bundle and save with the Personal Price Plan. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there. Head to statefarm.com to get a quote. Prices are based on rating plans that vary by state. Coverage options are selected by the customer. Availability, amount of discounts and savings, and eligibility vary by state.
Hey, weirdos. I'm Elena.
I'm Ash.
And this is Morbid.
I didn't like the look in your eye when you were saying that at all. That Mikey said nope.
Everybody's just shaking their head at me like, no,
was
absolutely
creepy.
not.
You went like she got low, sort of. No.
Yeah,
no.
I just wanted to be weird about it, and I succeeded. So.
Congrats. High five across the room.
Woo!
That was weird.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm in a weird mood.
Same.
Weird day.
Yes.
You know?
Maybe, hold on.
Hold on. Everybody sit tight.
Guys, just hold on a second. Just pull over, okay?
You know what? While she's looking that up, we had our 666th episode recently.
666.
The mark of the beast.
Wait a second.
Oh.
Mercury is out of retrograde.
Oh. Doesn't feel that way.
I know. Well, we're in the after effects right now.
Oh, okay.
It got out of, it stopped retrograding. I think that's how you say that, right? On April 7th.
Oh.
And right now, I think it's April 9th.
So we're still feeling the...
Yeah,
we're circling the toilet drain
Sometimes
here.
I feel like that's when it's the worst, is the after effects.
Yeah.
So maybe that's why we feel so weird and why everybody's so annoying.
Yeah.
It also might just be like facts. But
Everything's just like, you know, when you have that moment where everything just feels like it's taking fucking forever.
God.
To move forward. Anything, any answers you need, anything. You're just like,
Literally
God.
anything.
Yeah, it's that.
Sorry, I interrupted you. What?
Back to the Mark of the Beast.
Oh, yeah.
Episode.
That was so much fun.
It was so much fun. And we had a ghost join us named Nicholas.
A special guest, if you will.
He was sassy, he was spicy. He was that
called
friend.
me dull, I think.
Well, he was that friend that will be honest with you. And I like that about him.
So you agree? You think I'm dull?
No, he thought that the tale, like whatever tale I told was dull.
Oh,
He wasn't calling you dull.
Okay.
It's not about you, Ash.
Well, no, but you said that what was it, that you weren't dull or something?
Oh,
I don't know.
no,
Go
I
listen to
think
the episode.
I can't remember what he said.
No, did he compliment at one point and you were like, that's
he
for
complimented and I took it. I received that.
me, for you.
And then he said something mean and I said I don't receive that.
And you said,
Because I think that I understand Nicholas.
Well, he's in your home, so.
He is, so I think I vibe with him.
Maybe he is related to us.
Maybe.
I was going to say maybe he's related to you, and then I was like, well,
You're like, I am also
then he would be related to me as well.
No, I think he was fun. It was fun to have him during the episode. We just put on Ghost Tube and just kind of like let him chat with us. And I think we have a spooky episode coming up. Like one of our like spooky insert thing here.
Spooky
episode.
loosey-goosey.
Roads, lakes, schools, graveyards,
Butts.
towns, all that. We're gonna do one of those coming up.
I think spooky butts probably.
Spooky butts, I think, is where we're gonna land on. And during our spooky butts episode, our spooky butts, we're gonna have Nicholas come back. We're gonna throw on the Ghost Tube and just let him kind of comment throughout the episode.
I hope it's him again.
I feel like it will be.
Well, when we turned off the episode and we kept doing something, somebody named Jacob came.
Yeah, we just got a gaggle of guys just floating around. I don't know how any of us feel about that, but
Not great.
I love Nicholas
I love
personally.
Nicholas,
I feel
yeah.
very connected to him. Jacob, I don't know. We haven't really had
turned
time
off.
to get to know each other.
Yeah, we turned it off. too
Yeah, we
soon.
did.
We said bye.
So maybe Jacob will come through. But I think it'll be fun to do for our spooky episodes to have our Pod Lab spirits join us and
Yes.
just kind of comment.
Yes.
I think hopefully you guys will think that's kind of fun. You can let us know after the episode if you're like, that was not fun.
Yeah.
Then totally let us know.
Yeah.
But we figured it would be something fun to add to the episode.
I think you'll love it.
I think you're going to love it. 'Cause
Personally.
I love Nicholas. So,
Ghost Tube's fun, and I think it's for reals.
you're like, I'm just saying.
Yeah. I
I
stand
think
on
it's
Ghost
fun
Tube.
as hell. No matter what it is, it's fun.
I agree.
Yeah.
What's not fun is the Zodiac Killer.
No, he's not fun.
No.
And he's probably dead.
I think.
Yeah. I would assume.
There's a good theory.
Oh, okay.
I think he died,
Oh,
personally.
I mean, it makes sense considering the time period. I guess like it's a possibility.
Yeah, so it was
He's
like
dragging his bag of bones
the
around.
late 60s, and everybody thought he was 20. So let's do some math.
So, I mean, you say let's. I will not be joining you in that.
So it's 2025 minus, we'll just say 1970 for the hell of it.
I like that.
That was 55 years ago. If you were 20, let's say he was
okay.
like 25. He could
Yeah,
be
he
like
could be
80.
Yeah, which is very possible.
Yeah, I know 80-year-olds.
Damn.
I know.
Imagine if the Zodiac Killer is still out. Just imagine if he's just someone's grandpa.
Oh my God. Well, it's like Joseph James D'Angelo. Just
Yeah.
like he was like in his mid to late 70s when he got caught.
Well, that's
Being
the
a
thing.
douchebag still.
Absolutely.
The thing about the Zodiac, though, is like, I don't think he would have just gone away because he loved the theater and the
That's true.
dramatics and like loved
That's true.
even when it seemed as though he stopped killing people, like they stopped linking crimes to him officially, he was still sending shit in
Yeah.
to like newspapers and to the police and everything. So
But maybe he's like a BTK, but like a BTK with restraint.
maybe.
Because like BTK went away for a long time.
Yeah, but then he couldn't help himself.
And then he couldn't help himself. But like, who knows if, whoever the Zodiac is,
Yeah.
if something took precedent that maybe changed
maybe.
the
Trajectory, the
kind of
urge.
thing.
I'm not ruling it out. Like it's definitely possible, but something about this dude, I feel like he wouldn't be able to resist that urge. And that's just me who has like no profiling experience whatsoever. But that's what my gut tells me.
Hey, I'm willing to listen to your gut.
Thank you.
I'll listen to it over here.
Thank you. She's trashed, but we're working
My
on
gut's
her.
very loud, and you have to listen to it all the time.
That's true.
grumbling over
Even
here, so
if I don't want to listen to your gut,
Yeah.
she's telling me things.
yeah, she's always talking.
It's usually just
I know, and it's never like I'm never in distress.
no,
It's
and
just
sometimes
that's-
it's not even when you're hungry.
Yeah, it's just that's how my gut works. It's just loud.
My gut like
Doing the
doesn't
damn
work
thing.
if it
It doesn't.
in general, but it works with instinct.
Yeah.
So that's a little bit about our guts. Now let's get into it. So we're back. We're back, everybody, with part 2.
We're back.
In part 1, we went over the first of the attacks, which started with the murders of 17-year-old David Faraday and his girlfriend, who Betty Lou Jensen. She was 16 years old, and this was her first boyfriend ever.
That broke my heart.
Awful. And her first date. And then we went over the attacks on 2 more couples, 22-year-old Darlene Ferrin and 19-year-old Mike Mageau. Then lastly, 22-year-old Cecilia Shepard and 20-year-old Brian Hartnell. And if you remember from part 1, those last 2 attacks, both of the men survived. It doesn't actually seem like that was intentional, like on the part of the killer, but you know, it happened. And of course, we got into the theatrics that surround the case, as far as the taunting letters to the media, the weird ciphers, the fucking crazy costume that he was wearing.
Oh,
with the clip-on sunglasses.
so unsettling.
I'll never be over the clip-on sunglasses. And the flat top of the head, like the executioner's hood being flat-topped.
Something about it.
I just don't know.
And an executioner's hood in and of itself.
Horrifying.
Yeah.
So now let's get into part 2, which, as most of us know, unfortunately does not end with the capture of this fool. But luckily, the attack at Lake Berryessa produced more evidence than the first 2 attacks. Because remember, the first 2 attacks, there was like nothing to go off of, basically. This gave us a little bit more. But not so luckily, detectives had pretty much exhausted any lead that they had within like 2 weeks. Not great.
No, not great at all.
No, not great at all. The witness descriptions and communications with the killer allowed investigators to get some kind of insight into the person that they were looking for. But funny that I was just talking about profiling. At that time, psychological profiling was still years away. It wasn't a thing that was really, tapped into yet. And any kind of profile that they developed at that time was really just speculation. For example, a psychiatrist in Napa, quote, suggested that the killer may be psychotic rather than psychopathic, thinking that the cipher revealed the Zodiac's delusional thinking.
Oh, okay.
Now, if you're like me and you found that quote a little bit confusing, according to a quick Google, psychosis, aka being psychotic, is a symptom of mental illness involving a loss of touch with reality.
Oh, interesting.
But psychopathy is a personality disorder characterized by lack of empathy and remorse.
Okay.
That's the difference between those 2 things.
Yeah.
Because when I first read that, I was like, isn't that the same thing?
Excuse me.
And Google said, no.
No.
She sang it to me.
She said, nor.
She said, nor, girl. So within a matter of a few weeks, all the theories from a ton of sources started to merge into kind of one big theory that created a kind of unofficial and obviously, again, highly speculative profile of the killer. In early October, a reporter from the Sacramento Bee wrote, he's fairly bright, but his spelling and grammar indicate a poor education. This is a quote. He is fat, so he probably does not do too well with girls. In fact, he has unwittingly indicated a sexual inadequacy. Oh, and he is an astrology fan. And when the signs are right, he goes out and finds young boys and girls together who symbolize everything life has denied him.
Wow.
Oh, the 60s.
Oh, I don't even know which thing to hit on first.
Yeah.
To be quite honest.
Yeah.
Damn.
That was journalism.
Yeah, sure was.
But like a lot of the theories about the identity and motives of the Zodiac that have come out in, 5 decades since the first attacks, it's unclear what led reporters and investigators to some of these conclusions, and most of them. But while everybody was speculating and piecing together the clues that they did have, the Zodiac was back out on the streets. On the afternoon of October 11th, 29-year-old cab driver Paul Stein got ready to head out for his shift for the night. Paul was a PhD candidate at San Francisco State College, and he was working as a cab driver just to cover the cost of his education. He was just a few months away from finishing his degree requirements and would have been on track to graduate in January. Oh. Not far at all. By 9:30 p.m., Paul had finished his first fare of the night, and he got a notification from the dispatcher about another fare needing to be picked up. While he was on his way to get this second fare, he stopped to pick up a single passenger, a man who hailed him at the intersection of Mason and Geary Streets. The man asked to be dropped off at Washington and Maple Streets, which was in a pretty wealthy neighborhood in San Francisco, Presidio Heights. So Paul entered the location in the logbook and started the meter and then pulled away from the curb. What happened next is really just based off of speculation based on evidence found at the scene. When they arrived at the intersection the passenger had requested, the man instructed Paul to drive just 1 block further to the corner of Washington and Cherry Streets. Once there, the man produced a 9mm handgun and placed the barrel to the back of Paul's head just behind his right ear and pulled the trigger, killing Paul instantly.
Come on.
Nobody was really around to witness the actual shooting itself, but the sound of the gunshot was loud enough to attract the attention of 3 teenagers who were in an apartment building across the street. And by the time they went to the window to see what the hell was happening, they actually saw the killer move from the back seat to the front passenger seat, where it seemed like he was going through Paul's pockets in some kind of robbery.
Damn.
So while one of the kids called the police, the other 2 went down to a lower floor of the building to try to get a better look at the guy in the cab. And from their new position, they could see the shooter wiping down the surfaces on the cab with what looked like a cloth.
Oh.
And then he moved Paul's body into an upright position and exited the cab through the passenger door.
Ooh.
He wiped down the handle before and after closing it. Once he was outside the car, the shooter walked around to the driver's side, opened the door, and repositioned Paul's body again, since it had kind of like slid down when he got down and forward when he got out. And then after wiping down the inside and outside of that, the driver's side door, the man closed it and just calmly walked away from the scene toward Cherry Street like he was just some normal fucking dude walking down the street after taking a cab.
That's fucking creepy.
Can you imagine watching that as a teenager?
Like
watching
moving
that ever
this body around
multiple times
and wiping
the doors down. Like, ugh,
I hate it.
So when the witnesses placed a call to the police, for some reason, there was some kind of miscommunication, and for whatever reason, the dispatcher thought that the shooter was a black man and advised responding officers to that detail. As a result, on their way to the scene, those officers drove right past the actual shooter as they traveled down Jackson Street, paying no attention to this white man casually walking away, even though he was the only person in the vicinity of the crime scene at that point.
Oh, come on.
How did that happen?
How? Was he wearing the outfit?
That I don't
Do
know,
you think?
actually.
Because maybe the miscommunication was like the black hood. You know what I mean?
Possibly.
Like maybe that was not relayed correctly or it didn't get heard correctly.
That is possible.
You know?
I don't think so, though, because I think that would have been like a major detail that the kids
So maybe
called.
maybe straight up racism. Then.
It might have been
I think
straight up
that
racism.
That's probably it.
Because it was, again, like late 60s, early 70s.
Yeah.
Because I don't think he would have been wearing the outfit because I think Paul, I think
that
it
would have been startling.
Yeah, it wouldn't have got to the final destination.
No, definitely
You
not.
know?
Like if he just popped that hood on.
Yeah, I think he was just dressed like a man.
Wow.
And actually, you know what? Yeah. He
no,
was.
it does. The more I think about it, yeah.
And later on, the teenagers describe him. So, yeah.
That makes sense.
So, San Francisco police officers Armin Pellicetti and Frank Pita were the first to arrive at the scene, and they found 2 of the 3 teenage witnesses just standing near the cab, just taking the scene in.
Jesus.
After moving them to a
time.
I know. After moving them to a location further from the scene, they took their statements, which is when they realized that initial description of the shooter had been wrong, like somehow lost in translation. Pellicetti quickly radioed dispatch with the update of a corrected description, and that went out to responding officers. But by the time the additional officers got to that area on Jackson Street, where they had just passed a white man and like the only fucking man in the vicinity,
Jesus Christ,
he was gone.
Damn.
Completely gone. So back at the crime scene, Officer Pellicetti approached the cab and looked inside. By that point, Paul's body was again slumped forward, and the officer could see that there was a hole in his head right behind his right ear. Between the injury and the large amount of blood in the front of the cab, it was obvious that Paul had died, unfortunately. In the back seat of the cab, the killer had left a pair of size 7 black leather gloves, which was a noticeably small size for a man at that time. They also found a single 9mm shell casing and 30 fingerprints.
Wow.
Which, remember, it's a cab, so tons of people.
Yeah.
But among the fingerprints was one that belonged to Paul Stein, and one unidentified print that was streaked with blood, indicating that it most likely belonged to the shooter. Pellicetti and the other officers also noticed that Paul's wallet and keys to the cab were missing, which actually at that point did make them think that this was a robbery that had gone wrong. So Pellicetti requested an ambulance and additional officers with dogs to comb the area in search of the suspect. And within a few minutes, all 7 canine units had responded to the request, along with a ton of San Francisco police officers. A large number of San Francisco firefighters were also called to the scene so that they could set up their ladders and high-powered lamps to kind of like illuminate the area more. And once they collected all the evidence and removed the body, investigators left the scene still thinking that this was some kind of robbery. because actually at that point, it was pretty common for cab drivers to get robbed or face some kind of violence like this.
Yeah.
So, they just thought that was it.
Yeah.
And the search teams and the dogs didn't turn up anything else in search for the killer. Based on the description of the shooter from the teenagers who reported the shooting, investigators were actually able to produce a sketch of the killer, which was published in the local papers a few days later. This man was described as a white man. So the teenagers had not said to the...
Yeah, so that was clearly either just straight up racism or there was some very strange miscommunication happening. I'm leaning towards the former.
The racism, yeah. I don't understand how the black man comment was made because all three said he was a white man, 25 to 30 years old, 5'8" or 5'9" inches tall, and weighed about 150 pounds. They said he had
pretty clear.
Yeah, definitely. I always wonder how people come up with that. I have no fucking... I don't even know how tall I am.
I couldn't tell how tall someone is or how much they weigh if you paid me $1 zillion.
No, not at all.
I could not. I'd be the worst witness ever.
100%. I also just remember people looking completely different than they do.
I'm not great at that either.
Yeah, this would not be great for me.
No.
But they also said he has reddish brown hair, which he wears in a crew cut, and was wearing heavy rimmed glasses and a navy blue or black jacket at the time of the slaying.
Okay.
So not the outfit.
No.
You know that feeling when you come home late from work and those puppy dog eyes just pierce right through your soul? Or when you're packing for a trip and your cat refuses to leave your suitcase? Yeah, we've all been there. Pet parent guilt is real. And you know what? It's completely normal. That's exactly why Hill's Pet Nutrition exists. They understand that being a pet parent means being human, with all of our imperfections and daily juggling acts. Hill's science-led nutrition helps you give more love than humanly possible. Whether it's those long work days or trying to balance attention between multiple pets, Hill's Pet Nutrition gets it. They've created science-based nutrition that supports your pet's lifelong health so you can feel confident even when life gets hectic. Because you're only human, there's Hill's. Science does more. Ready to let go of the guilt? Find the right food at hillspet.com/podcast. That's hillspet.com/podcast. Chilling crime cases are mysterious, but finding coverage shouldn't be. With the State Farm Personal Price Plan, you have options and can personalize your plan to help create an affordable price so you can get back to cracking all of life's bigger cases. Talk to a State Farm agent today to learn how you can choose to bundle and save with the Personal Price Plan. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there. Head to statefarm.com to get a quote. Prices are based on rating plans that vary by state. Coverage options are selected by the customer. Availability, amount of discounts and savings, and eligibility vary by state. Now, it wasn't until 2 days later, on October 13th, that Paul Stine's murder was linked to the Zodiac. That afternoon, a letter arrived at the San Francisco Chronicle containing one single page note written in what was now familiar writing and in a blue felt-tipped handwriting of the killer. He said, "This is the Zodiac speaking. I am the murderer of the taxi driver over by Washington Street and Maple Street last night. To prove this, here is a blood-stained piece of his shirt," which he did include. He said, "I am the same man who did in the people in the North Bay area. The SF police, San Francisco police, could have caught me last night if they had searched the park properly instead of holding road races with their motorcycles, seeing who could make the most noise. The car drivers should have just parked their cars and sat there waiting for me to come out of cover. School children make nice targets. I think I shall wipe out a school bus some morning, just shoot out the front tire and pick off the kiddies as they come bouncing out."
Wow.
What?
I remember hearing that specific line.
I do too.
I've read that.
School children make nice targets. And then he said, come bouncing out.
The little
of the
kitties
bus.
as if they come bouncing out. Like, I remember reading that and just being horrified.
Sinister.
By how sinister and depraved that is.
And it's just he starts with couples, then he targets this cab driver. So that's a complete diversion.
Maybe I'll just kill kids now.
And now he's going to kids, right?
Like, what the fuck?
Nobody's safe.
No.
Which we're going to get into.
Literally nobody's safe.
Now, just like the other letters, the latest note was signed simply with those crosshairs, the symbol. And as proof of its authenticity, like I said, the letter writer also included a swatch of fabric ripped from Paul Stine's blood-soaked shirt.
Whoa.
So he was like, "This is me."
Yeah.
And they also did an analysis of the handwriting, and it concluded that it matched the other letters that the San Francisco area papers had gotten a few months earlier. Police Captain Martin Lee told reporters, there are very strong indications, including the handwriting, that we are dealing with the same person. All of the evidence is pointing toward this. And that inclusion of Paul's gray and white striped shirt was irrefutable proof that the killings were linked. And if the previous attacks were any indication, there was going to be more murders to follow.
Yeah.
The Zodiac had already made mention of shooting a busload of school children, and as far as the public knew, the police were no closer to stopping him than they had been after the first murders of David Faraday and Betty Jensen. They made no progress on this case. They didn't have the slightest idea who this guy was. And in a city as large as San Francisco, he could have been anywhere. He could have been anyone.
Yeah, absolutely.
An article from the LA Times read, he could be old Mrs. So-and-so's boy who never says boo and still lives at home, or that bachelor who keeps to himself and never seems to have any fun, or that poor guy who works so hard at that lousy job and never complains and never lets on that his marriage is miserable.
Damn, that's bleak.
The way that they wrote back then.
Yeah.
I remember that clip. I remember he could be Mrs. So-and-so's boy who never says boo.
Yeah.
For some reason, that always stuck out to me. But if we know anything about the 60s and 70s in California, or really anything about the last few episodes of Morbid, we know that Californians had to contend with killers in the past.
Yeah.
Some of these killers, obviously, like we've talked about, were theatrical and like egomaniacal, but the Zodiac wasn't like anything anybody had ever experienced before. Like we were just saying, he changed his method of killing unexpectedly, changed his preferred victims. He performed his attacks and murders with a kind of showiness too. And a killer with an unpredictable victim pattern hunting the streets of San Francisco was terrifying enough, but this guy's doing it while wearing a fucking executioner's hood.
Yeah.
Like that adds to
That's different.
everything. That ups
that
the
hits
ante.
different.
Yeah, it definitely does.
sure.
I can't imagine living in this area at that time.
No.
Because for me, it's the costume, but also the fact that literally, like I said earlier, no one is safe.
Yeah.
Couples, cab drivers, kids. And he would just switch at a moment's notice. So in the wake of the most recent letters from the Zodiac, the sheriff's department assigned more than 70 deputies to guard the school buses as they transported children to and from school. It seemed like the killer was expanding his geographic range to a degree too, so a kind of interagency task force was assembled, which included officers from all local and regional law enforcement agencies, with the intention of pooling resources and evidence that could lead to an arrest, which is kind of profound because it doesn't happen a lot.
Yeah, no.
These agencies work together.
No, that's actually the most shocking.
And I think it also points to how desperate they were to catch
for
this
sure.
guy. Almost a year had passed since the Zodiac first struck in Vallejo, and in that time he had now killed 5 and seriously wounded 2 others, again leaving very little evidence behind and just openly taunting investigators and the public. But while it seems like the Zodiac was only just starting his rampage, interestingly, Paul Stine would turn out to be the last victim officially linked to the Zodiac.
Interesting.
I don't know for sure if Paul really was the Zodiac's last victim, but officially he is.
Okay.
That being said, a lack of victims didn't mean a lack of attention, and the man known as the Zodiac Killer was about to be elevated to a status that had never been seen before in American history. Within a few days of receiving and publishing the Stine letter, public concern over the threat posed had reached a point where the law enforcement agencies couldn't ignore it. So Chief of Police Martin Lee released an all-points bulletin containing instructions for school bus drivers who might find themselves the target of the killer. The bulletin read, and this is just, I can't imagine putting my kids on a school bus during this time.
Oh, God.
It read, if a tire is punctured or shots are heard, keep the bus in motion at all costs. Instruct passengers to lie on the floor. Attract as much attention as possible by sounding the horn, flashing the lights, and erratic driving if necessary.
What the fuck?
Like, what if you can't keep the bus in motion?
Well, and the
Have you
other
ever popped a tire? Sometimes you can't keep going.
And you want to say like, oh, I would never put my child on the bus.
But
if
what
that
else
was the
do
case.
you do?
But some people didn't have a choice.
No.
Like they didn't have any other way to do anything. And it's like, what the fuck? Imagine reading that.
No, and what do you do?
Yeah.
What do you do? I would just be
Holy
like
shit.
at home. I think I'd
just
probably
we're all
lose
hunkering
everything.
down and we'll lose everything. Because that's so scary.
Yeah, absolutely it is.
Holy shit.
And then thinking like these little kids getting on the bus and like if that were to happen, the bus driver's just supposed to tell them to lay on the ground.
These little kids.
Like that's awful.
Oh.
So Somehow, the notice from Lee did help reassure a lot of the drivers, but he still couldn't help but take a swipe at the killer, the police chief. He referred to the Zodiac as a, quote, clumsy criminal liar and a latent homosexual.
Huh.
Like, what? What if anything indicated his sexual preference?
I was just going to say, where the fuck did you come out with that?
That's something.
Like, really?
That's neither here nor there.
I just am like, please point to where you found that.
Like, what?
Point.
It's just guys being dudes sometimes.
Dudes being bros, you know?
It's just, what? You can call that guy a lot of things. To just pull out of thin air and be like,
but to just be like,
he's a latent homosexual.
He's gay. Like,
he's gay and he's pretending he's not. Okay. Alrighty. Okay. I don't think that's why we're here, but damn, sounds good. Thanks for being professional about it.
Let's focus on the thing that will definitely help us catch him.
Yeah, exactly. Sure. I'm also like, that's good. Needle the crazy man threatening to shoot up a bus full of children.
Yeah, and that's the other thing. Plan. It's like, oh yeah, because first of all, we have no fucking clue what his sexual orientation is, nor should it matter.
Nope.
But also, are we really pretending that straight people don't kill people?
More often than not.
Are we really pretending that straight men have not made up the majority of serial killers in the entire history of the world? Like, are we really pretending that right now?
It was just an opportunity
gotta
to be a
guy.
douche.
Like, okay.
Like, I'm not defending the Zodiac by any means here, but that was just stupid.
No, of course you're not defending.
Like, Jesus Christ.
It just doesn't help.
No, well,
it's just not helpful.
And it doesn't help
to
the public.
Catch this person.
No.
Like, we're looking to catch this person. Give me things that I can see with my eyeballs and witness with my eyeballs.
And if you want to needle him, do it in a way to drag him out. Like,
just be like, say he's fucking pathetic.
Right.
Say he's a fucking pathetic loser.
Right.
Who has nothing else to take control of. So he's taking control of vulnerable people in vulnerable positions.
Exactly.
There you go. He's a
that
fucking
was
loser.
Easy.
Yeah, I just did it.
Ugh. So the California Attorney General, Thomas Lynch, also got involved, acting as a coordinator for various state and local agencies involved in the now growing manhunt, and he provided updates to the public. In his initial statement, Lynch acknowledged the threat to the public, you couldn't not, but assured them that a competent task force was pursuing the killer. He said, our law enforcement officers are competent. They are concerned and they will provide all the protection possible. And in an effort to quell public hysteria, he told them the odds are that no tragedy will occur. But it's like, I feel like the odds are actually the opposite at this point if we're actually like
being real.
If we're like really looking at this.
If we're living in a place of reality, I feel like.
Because odds are that the Zodiac will strike again because if history has told us anything, he has.
Yeah, and let's be on alert.
Luckily here, it worked out for him.
Yeah.
This statement. But I was like, what was that based on?
Yeah.
Anyway, at the same time, he also issued an appeal to the Zodiac, urging the killer to turn himself in. He said he's obviously an intelligent individual. He knows that eventually he'll be taken into custody, so it would be best that he give himself up before tragedy is written in blood. That's the way you go about that.
There you go.
And it's like, that's the way to go about that. You do have to do a little like complimenting, and then you kind of threaten him a little bit. Like, you know what I mean? There's a way to go about it.
Mm-hmm.
Lynch's assurances were more than just lip service, though, or him trying to simply placate a very increasingly worried public. In Napa County, the school district's 64 school buses were given armed police escorts every day as they covered roughly 4,000 miles transporting children to 28 different schools.
Damn.
So they really put in like a lot of resources here.
Yeah.
And additionally, a volunteer spotter was added to every school bus, and their job was to watch for any unusual activity along the bus route.
What a scary job.
Yeah, seriously. But the statements and the press coverage of the manhunt prompted a massive public outpouring, and within a few days, the San Francisco police had received hundreds of tips, but none provided any useful information. Among the most bizarre was a call from a man claiming to be the killer and offering a strange offer of surrender, basically. On October 21st, the caller told investigators he wanted them to arrange for a nationally recognized lawyer, F. Lee Bailey, to appear on the local morning show, AM San Francisco, the next morning. And he said he would call in to discuss a possible surrender. And he said if Bailey's not available, he would settle for California defense attorney Melvin Belli, who had made a name for himself. He actually represented Lee Harvey Oswald's assassin, Jack Ruby, and plenty of other high-profile people. But San Francisco attempted to reach F. Lee Bailey, but when he was unavailable, they contacted Belly, and he happily agreed to appear on the show. A recording of the call was played for Brian Hartnell, who was one of the last victims attacked, in an effort to identify it as the man who had attacked him, but he wasn't able to provide confirmation, unfortunately. So the next morning, host Jim Dunbar, who was joined by Melvin Belly, urged regular listeners not to call in so that the lines would remain completely open for the killer. For nearly an hour, the two men just chatted on air as they waited for this supposed killer to call, who finally called in about 50 minutes into the show. In the clip, Belly can be heard saying, "Did you hear me?" And a disembodied voice replies, "Yes, I did," and then hangs up the phone. A few minutes later, the man claiming to be the Zodiac called back, and they started a strange conversation where he told Belly to refer to him as Sam, like the name Sam.
Interesting.
Yeah. Throughout the conversation, both Dunbar and Belly tried to get some confirmation that the caller was the man who had called the police the night before, if not the actual killer, but Sam, quote unquote, dodged their questions and just continued insisting that he was the killer. He said, "I don't want to give myself up. I want to kill those kids. I'm getting one of my headaches now. I've got to kill. I've got to kill."
Ooh.
And this is just in like a morning show. Like,
Damn.
that's the scariest thing ever.
Hello?
Literally, hello. After roughly 20 minutes, the caller told Belly, "Meet me on top of the Fairmont Hotel with nobody else or I'll jump."
No, thank you.
So Belly refused to meet the man on the roof.
Thank you.
But he said they ended up agreeing on an alternate location. He was like, "I'll meet you somewhere." So they made plans to meet at 10:30 a.m. But when Belly arrived at this secret location, there was no one there to meet him. He waited until 11:15. But when Sam, quote unquote, failed to show up, he just abandoned the plan and left.
Okay.
Now, that Sam didn't show up at the agreed upon location didn't come as a surprise to a lot of people. Captain Lee, not the below deck star,
I knew you were going to say that.
the report, an officer, told reporters, "I think the caller has a problem, but whether he's involved in the killings, I cannot say."
Yeah.
So he was like, "I think this might just be a sick individual."
Makes sense.
The dispatcher who had taken the call from the supposed killer the night before listened to the audio from AM San Francisco and was certain that the voice of the caller from the night before was not the same voice that called to speak to Belly.
Okay.
According to the dispatcher, the caller, quote, revealed knowledge about one or more of the 5 murders charged to the Zodiac that had never been made public. So she was like, the dispatcher said they said that the night before, but they didn't sound like the guy who called in. So whether it was the killer who called or not, the opportunity to continue contact was lost once the show was over. Unfortunately. So after the botched interview on AM San Francisco, the Zodiac went quiet for a few weeks until finally popping back up with a greeting card and yet another cipher sent to the San Francisco Chronicle, followed a day later by a rambling 7-page letter known now as the dripping pen card and the bus bomb letter.
The dripping pen card.
The dripping pen card.
Creepy.
Very creepy. On the front of the greeting card was an illustration of a wet fountain pen hanging up to dry and pre-printed text that said, "Sorry, I haven't written, but I just washed my pen."
Wow.
Like, what?
That's upsetting. I don't know why, but it is.
No, I know. That's
I
like,
don't
it's
like
so
that.
fucking creepy,
Yeah,
but you
I
can't
don't like
explain
that.
why.
Sorry, I just
Sorry.
washed my pen.
Sorry, just washing my pen. Inside,
Stop.
the card contained the pre-printed message, "And I can't do a thing with it."
No.
So the card just said, like,
It's just like
on
a
the
goofy
front,
ass card.
"Sorry, I just washed my pen, and I can't do a thing with it."
Nope. I don't like that at all.
What?
I don't like it.
Into this pre-printed message, the killer added, "This is the Zodiac speaking," which is a dumb thing to say because you're not speaking. You're
And
writing.
also, like, we know.
Yeah.
like you don't need to.
Yeah.
You don't need to do that.
It's
It doesn't need to
silly.
be so official.
He continued, but it's supposed to say thought, "You would need a good laugh before you hear the bad news. You won't get the news for a while yet. P.S. Could you print this new cipher on your front page? I get awfully lonely when I'm ignored. So lonely I could do my thing." And the
Do my thing.
so lonely I could do my thing. Exclamation mark, exclamation mark, exclamation mark, exclamation mark. And the word thing was written in bold, dark letters and underlined 6 times.
Huh.
Yeah. Underneath the text, the writer drew the crosshair symbol, of course, with some text beneath that read Des, like December, July, Aug, Sept, Oct equals 7. So the dates on the bottom were quickly interpreted as a taunt to the police, with the killer trying to indicate that he had actually killed 7 people,
Yeah,
not 5.
that makes sense.
According to author Michael Cole, there was a high-profile double murder in San Jose on August 3rd, 1969. Two young women, Deborah Furlong and Kathy Snoozy, were savagely murdered, each being stabbed more than 100 times.
Oh my, what?
Yeah.
Holy shit.
And Cole claims there are many who believe these to be the Zodiac's 6th and 7th victims, but there's no evidence conclusively linking him to either murder.
Interesting.
And actually, several years later, a man named Carl Werner pleaded guilty to the murders of Furlong and Snoozy, as well as a third victim.
Oh, okay.
So, who knows?
All right.
But the second letter received by the examiner, which was much different than anything the Zodiac had sent before. Among the more obvious differences, according to Cole, was that the previous communication, quote, had been noticeably matter-of-fact and somewhat detached, but this letter exhibited a clear sense of palpable hostility, primarily at law enforcement. The letter read in part, this is the Zodiac speaking. Up to the end of October, I have killed 7 people. I have grown rather angry with the police for telling their lies about me, so I shall challenge the way of collecting slaves. I shall no longer announce to anyone when I commit my murders, they shall look like routine robberies, killings of anger plus a few fake accidents, etc. The police shall never catch me because I've been too clever for them. If you wonder why I was wiping the cab down, I was leaving fake clues for the police to run all over town with. As one might say, I gave the cops some busy work to keep them happy. Hey, pig, doesn't it rile you up to have you nose rubbed in your boo-boos? If you cops think I'm going to take on a bus in the way I stated I was, you deserve to have holes in your heads.
For someone using the term boo-boos, that's very aggressive.
Boo-boos.
It's a very aggressive letter for someone using the word boo-boos.
This part of the show is brought to you by Anua, the Korean skincare brand known for scientific, gentle, yet effective formulations. The latest from Anua is the Retinol Collagen Gua Sha Cream, a firming cream with a gua sha-shaped tip built right in. Have you guys heard of gua sha? It's that viral massage tool that moves fluid and tension out of your face. Less puffiness, a snatched jawline, honey, more definition in your face. Retinol firms and reduces fine lines, and collagen keeps your skin plump and structured. This cream has both of those things, arguably the most optimal combo for that snatched, lifted look all in one step. I am obsessed with the Gua Sha cream. First of all, it feels so cool to the touch when you put that on your face. It's just like, this is lovely. It's like a little spa treatment that you can give yourself. I like to do mine at night after I get out of the shower. I rub the cream on my face with the little gua sha. I'm sculpting that jawline, honey. I got it on the cheekbones. And actually, I had a facial the other day, and the lady doing my facial, the professional, she said, "Do you use a gua sha at home?" And I said, "I do." And I said, "How did you know that?" And she said, "I didn't have those little like bumps in my chin or like different areas like that." So she could tell that I was using the gua sha. And I said, "Oh my God." I just feel like I wake up less puffy in the morning when I do it the night before. But you can do it whenever you want to. I, 10 out of 10, recommend this product. The Anua Gua Sha Cream value set is available at anua.com, already discounted. Use code MORBID for an extra 10% off. That's ANUA.com, code MORBID. This is a paid ad by BetterHelp. I happen to be somebody that struggles with people pleasing. So a lot of times I will build things up and up and up and up and up and then kind of get to the point where I'm like, I need to let this out to this person. Even in 2026, that stigma and just stigma in general can get in the way of a lot of things, like getting support for your mental health. Maybe you've encouraged friends to consider therapy while avoiding taking that first step yourself because you're busy. You're worried about what other people might think or telling yourself that you should handle this all alone. But therapy with BetterHelp, the world's largest online therapy platform, can be a space to slow down and talk through what's been building before it feels unmanageable. Just take a short questionnaire to identify your needs and preferences, and BetterHelp will handle the initial therapist matching work for you. Their industry-leading match rate means BetterHelp typically gets it right the first time. Feel confident knowing BetterHelp therapists work according to a strict code of conduct and are fully qualified. Don't let hesitation hold you back. Find support with BetterHelp. Sign up and get 10% off at betterhelp.com/morbid. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/morbid.
That's upsetting, and I don't like it. Like, nothing about that is something I want to be around. I don't like that. The fact that he's saying, I'm going to make them look like routine robberies and accidents and shit, so you can't trace them to an actual murder or trace them back to me is so scary.
It's so scary, and it's possible he did that.
Well, that's the thing. I'm like, so did you do that?
Because remember, like I said, Paul Stein is the last official victim.
Yeah.
But did he kill, like, who knows how many other people he could have killed and made it look like
accidents robberies.
Because obviously there's a degree here where people are like, I don't even know that he's that intelligent. Like, look at all the grammatical mistakes he makes. I think those are on purpose.
Yeah.
Possibly. And it's like, he has gotten away so far, so he does know how to make things look a certain way, you know?
Yeah. I mean, he definitely...
I think he was capable of making things look like
clues.
Accidents.
So it's like he's at the very least capable of doing that.
Right.
But then you also have to look at it like the Jack the Ripper letters. And you have to say which ones are from him, which ones are copycats, because there's always going to be some, level of people who want to get involved with this shit.
Oh, yeah. And we'll get into it. There were plenty of letters that were sent that were not from the Zodiac.
But this one is talking about the 7 victims again.
Yep.
It's talking about wiping down the cab.
And there were certain things that were not made.
Yeah.
That the public was not made aware of.
Yeah. So... it's interesting.
Yeah.
But the whole ending of like, if you cops think I'm going to take a bus in the way I stated I was, you deserve to have holes in your heads. It's like, whoa.
And it's also like, why wouldn't we think that?
Well, it's like, that's...
Like, I don't get what your aim is there.
Are you trying to say that you do have a victim profile and like that's totally against it? So like you're dumb for thinking I was serious?
Yeah, I mean, I guess.
I feel like it's him being like, oh, you just don't get my humor.
Maybe.
Like to him, that's humor.
Maybe, yeah. I mean, because he's a sick individual.
Yeah, and I feel like that's him being like, like you don't get my highbrow humor, like that feels like that.
It does, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, the letter goes on to describe the killer's new plan, where he would place a bomb described as a, quote, death machine and, quote, my masterpiece on a local bus.
Oh.
And the letter included a list of components used to create the bomb, as well as a kind of crude diagram and the same blue felt tip pen used to write the letter. The letter ended in a postscript instructing the editors to print the diagram of the bomb, and on the back final page was a second postscript that said, to prove that I am the Zodiac, ask the Vallejo cop about my electric gun sight, which I used to start my collecting of slaves.
It's so weird to me when killers do this.
Yeah, like taunt like this.
Because it's such, like, it feels like such 12-year-old kid behavior to be like, ask him.
Yeah.
Like, I did that. You know what I mean? Like, it's just like, what?
It's like in his mind, he's like a supervillain, not a murderer.
Yeah. It's like, it's very strange. It's such immature behavior.
It is.
To be begging for attention for these awful things you have done.
Oh, and he
like, it's
keeps
very
doing
acting out, like child acting out in a negative way for any kind of attention.
Yes.
Situation. So I'm just like, what the? It's so weird when they do this.
No, it's bizarre.
Yeah.
Well, 6 weeks or so later, on December 20th, the 1-year anniversary of David Faraday and Betty Jensen's murders, the Zodiac wrote again, this time to Melvin Belly. In the now familiar blue felt tip pen, in much better handwriting, though, he wrote...
And the fact that he writes with blue ink.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I hate blue ink.
I don't like blue ink either.
I get that.
Yeah,
I get frustrated with blue ink.
But he wrote, and again, in much better handwriting. Interesting. He said, Dear Melvin, this is the Zodiac speaking. I wish you a happy Christmas, spelled incorrectly, the same way he had in the first letter. The one thing I ask of you is this. Please help me. I cannot reach out for help because of this in me won't let me. I'm finding it extremely difficult to hold it in check. I am afraid I will lose control again and take my 9th and possibly 10th victim. Please help me. I am drowning. At the moment, the children are safe from the bomb because it is so massive to dig in. Plus, the trigger mech requires much work to get it adjusted just right. But if I hold back too long from no 9, I will lose all control of myself, plus set the bomb up. Please help me. I cannot remain in control for much longer. That one was really hard to read because the grammatical errors are aplenty.
Fuck?
Yeah. The letter was signed with the same crosshairs, now common among all Zodiac letters, and it included another swatch of fabric from Paul Stein's shirt.
That's fucked up.
Which meant it was an authentic letter.
It's he's like devolving in such a strange way.
Yes.
Like they're so different. Like you from that one where he's like, oh, I think like shooting the kitties as they bounce out of school will be fun. And then here he's like, I don't want to kill anyone else.
I need help.
I need help. And you're like, what the fuck?
But he's still saying he's making this bomb, but like it's too much work. And if he can't get help, he's going to use it.
He's going to do it. And his first letter that he wrote like a long time ago was like saying how killing people was something he loved to do and it gave him excitement and it was better than sex.
But now he doesn't
and
want
now
to.
Here he's like, I don't want to take my 9th and 10th victims. And it's like, what is happening?
Yeah. And
this is some scary, scattered thinking.
It is. Whoever this individual was, they were sick.
Scary.
And scary.
All of the above.
Yeah. A few days later, Melvin Belly contacted the Chronicle, who did agree to publish his response to the Zodiac on the front page of the December 28th edition of the paper. Belly said, "You have asked for my help, and I promise you I will do everything in my power to provide you with whatever help you may need or want." He offered to meet the killer in a private location of his choosing, but as the days passed without a response, it became clear that the Zodiac had no intention of actually turning himself in or meeting with Belly.
You wonder if that was just a ploy to get him to
get a response.
Yeah, and to get a response that's like, we'll help you, we'll do whatever you want. You know, like that gives him what he needs.
And I think it probably would have made him like laugh, like chuckle.
Well, and I think it makes him feel powerful because he just got them all to tuck their tails between their legs and say, and I'm not saying that against them because what other choice did they have?
Yeah, they're scared
like,
that he's going to put a bomb on a bus.
Go fuck yourself, go kill some kids. Like,
right.
They're not going to set him up for that. So it's like, it's not their fault, but that is what he wanted, I think.
Yep, I agree. After the letter was sent to Belly in late December, communication from the Zodiac ceased for several months until a pair of letters showed up at the offices of the Chronicle in late April, about a week apart. Like the other letters, the latest seemed to be an attempt to manipulate the press into keeping the story alive on the front pages. Because remember, there's no new leads. He hasn't killed anybody that the police can link to him. Yeah. So this isn't being reported on exactly how it was when it was like when everybody was in the thick of it. But in these letters, the Zodiac demanded that investigators release, quote, all of the details of his bus bomb threat and called on San Franciscans to start wearing, quote, some nice Zodiac buttons.
Oh, he is Delulu in a way that you can't even.
And it's like spiraling out of control.
It's power. He's looking for power. He's looking to be in control. That's why he's going to be like, let me see if I can get people to start wearing buttons with my signature, like with my logo there on it. You know what I mean? Like, let me see how far I can flex this power I have over everybody.
Just the fact that he thought that people might be willing to do that is so wild.
Because he thought he scared if he scared people enough that they would think they were safe if they wore those buttons. Like, we're listening to you, we'll do what you say.
Right.
Because he just saw them bend and say, we'll help you however we can. We'll do whatever you want. What do you want? He says, print it on the front page. They print it on the front page. So he's sitting there going, how far can I take this?
I'll get them to wear buttons.
So this is power. This is all power. Like this is such a clear case of power trip.
It is.
In the worst way possible.
Yeah. Well, the April letters repeated their earlier claims that the killer had developed a massive bomb and was planning to leave it in an undisclosed public location in order to cause, now he said, the most damage possible. Like the previous threats, this obviously caused considerable panic among the public. But after a few weeks without any kind of evidence about an actual bomb, things slowly started to return to normal. And like the previous letters, the April letters stated that the killer had taken more lives, of course, but the police had yet to catch on. He said, I have killed 10 people to date. It would have been a lot more, except I was swamped out by the rain we had a while back.
The fuck?
Like, oh, okay.
Oh, cool.
More letters followed a few months later. In late June, the editor of the Chronicle received a note along with a new cipher saying, this is the Zodiac speaking. I've become very upset with the people of the San Fran Bay area. They have not complied with my wishes for them to wear some nice crosshair symbols button. I promised to punish them if they did not comply by annihilating a full school bus. But now school is out for the summer, so I punished them in another way. I shot a man sitting in a parked car with a .38.
Oh.
Now, this is interesting.
Yeah.
The note was signed with the usual crosshair symbol, of course, and text indicating that the Zodiac had now killed 12 people and was accompanied by what would be his fourth and final cipher. So a lot of people think that the line about the man being shot in his car with a .38 was a reference to the June 19th death of 25-year-old San Francisco police officer. I looked up his name. I'm not positive. There's a few different pronunciations, but I think the best one is Richard Raddick.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
So around 5:30 a.m., this officer was sitting in his car and had started writing a parking ticket for a vehicle parked in front of him, parked in front of a hydrant, when an unknown assailant approached him from behind and fired 3 shots through the driver's side window.
Damn.
Yeah. It is worth noting, though, when referencing the first 5 murders in his letters, the Zodiac offered some form of evidence that validated his claims, like an unpublished detail, or in the case of Paul Stein's murder, a piece of physical evidence. But the claims made in the letter since Paul Stein's death didn't include any verifications, and he very likely did learn about them through the press.
Oh, so there you go.
Yeah. But still, the letters are believed to have been sent by the Zodiac himself.
Okay.
So who knows? It's possible. 2 more letters were sent that year, one to the Chronicle on October 5th and another to Chronicle writer Paul Avery directly on October 27th. Like the others, these letters seemed to be an attempt to keep the story on the front page as a power move, since it had started to be replaced by other, more pressing matters. The difference in the case of the October 27th letter, though, was that it was one of the rare instances where the killer addressed a single person. The only other time he had really done that was when it was Melvin Belly.
Oh, yeah.
In this case, the killer sent a Halloween card to Avery, who had done the bulk of the reporting on the Zodiac for the Chronicle, and made a vague threat on his life.
Oh.
But in an interview, Paul Avery said, "I'm really not scared. I've needled him in some of my stories. Maybe that's why you wrote me."
I love that. It's just like, whatever.
He's like, "I'm not afraid."
That's fine.
I'd be fucking
needled
terrified.
Damn.
5 months after Avery received the Halloween card threatening his life, the editor of the Los Angeles Times received its first letter from the killer. In the latest letter, the killer noted the number of victims was now 17. So he's going up like exponentially.
I was just going to say, that was a jump.
And he said, "The reason that I'm writing to the Times is this. They don't bury me on the back pages like some of the others."
Wow.
He used this as an opportunity, obviously, to declare a higher victim number.
Of course.
It was mostly yet another letter taunting the police, who had failed to make any significant progress on the case. He said, "Like I've always said, I'm crack proof. If the blue meanies are ever going to catch me, they had best do something, because the longer they fiddle around, the more slaves I will collect for my afterlife."
Ew. I hate that that's like what he's claiming
It's
this is
so
for.
gross. To go from boo-boos to blue meanies. I'm like, you were calling them pigs at one point. Like, that's rude and like shitty. Now you're saying blue meanies.
He feels like he has like, and I'm by no means armchair diagnosing anybody.
No.
I'm just saying in these letters, it seems like there's different personalities coming through.
No, I
in a
completely
way.
agree.
Like some of them are much like the one pleading for help.
Yeah.
Please stop. And then the next one is like, it's better than sex. And then there's one that's just like, my boo-boos. And then the other one's like, blue meanies, pigs. Like, it's just like, what?
It's various different tones.
Feels like there's very different people coming through here, but the same person.
Yeah, there's some kind of like mood disorder.
Something
or, like,
going on
something
here.
going on. But after sending the letter to the LA Times, the Zodiac went quiet for almost 3 years, until the Chronicle received what would prove to be the final communication from the Zodiac himself on January 29th, 1974. In his latest communication, postmarked from Santa Clara County, the Zodiac gave no indication of why he'd gone silent for such a long period of time, which is interesting, and we'll touch on it later. But instead, he offered only 3 thoughts. He said, "I saw and think The Exorcist was the best satirical comedy I've ever seen. Signed, yours truly." He plunged himself into the billowy wave, an echo aroused from the suicider's grove, Titwillow, Titwillow, Titwillow. P.S. If I do not see the note in your paper, I will do something nasty, which you know I'm capable of doing.
Wow.
So now he's just like, I'll just do something.
He's like, I'll
come
do
up with something.
nasty. You know I will. That just, I'm like, is that where Beetlejuice got it?
Oh, maybe.
Is that where like The Exorcist? And it gets funnier every time I've seen it.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Good call.
As soon as I heard that, I was like, Beetlejuice? What?
Oh, shit. That's creepy.
Yeah.
I hate that.
Because, I mean, that's exactly what he says, essentially.
It is. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that makes him even scarier,
I know. I'm
Beetlejuice.
like, oh, God.
In small script on the bottom right corner of the page, he included me 37, SFPD 0. like San Francisco Police Department. So now he's claiming he's killed 37 people.
I mean, and at this point, though, too, it's like, maybe
Who knows?
he has.
He might have.
Yeah.
And additionally, the signature on the letter wasn't the actual recognizable crosshair symbol this time. A series of strange markings that looked like maybe Chinese or Japanese writing, but they've never been identified as any known language.
Scary.
Yeah. What is probably the most noticeable and unusual about the final Zodiac letter isn't the missing signature, but the lack of any real substance. Because in the past, the letters sent by the killer were sent to claim one of his murders, to taunt the police, or, you know, give the press some kind of fucking puzzle to solve.
Yeah.
But here he just makes a snarky joke about The Exorcist, which had been released in theaters a couple months earlier. And then he just quotes line from the Rodgers and Hammerstein play, The Mikado, and makes what feels like we were just saying is like a pretty vague threat of violence just for the hell of it.
Yeah, just to do it.
Yeah. But the letter has been analyzed thoroughly, and it is believed by law enforcement officials to be authentic.
I wonder why. Like, what about that feels authentic?
I don't know if it was like maybe the blue felt pen or
maybe, because I'm like, are you guys sure?
I know that one I'm not positive about, especially the fact that it didn't have the crosshair symbol.
That's I'm like, this feels very Jack the Ripper-y, where it's like, yeah, it's totally a real one.
Yeah,
like,
I don't know.
I don't know about that.
Well, and I don't know. I mean, like, obviously handwriting analysis is a real thing, but it's also like a tricky science.
Yeah,
so
it can definitely be tricky.
I don't know. But the Chronicle did publish the letter in full either way. They left out the strange markings on the bottom, though, at the request of the San Francisco police. But in the years that followed, investigators would receive hundreds, if not thousands, of letters and cards claiming to come from the Zodiac. But as far as investigators are concerned, this was the last time any news outlet or law enforcement agency would hear from the Zodiac.
Interesting.
Yeah. So who the fuck was this guy?
Yeah.
We got to talk about it.
We do.
So obviously a lot of the Zodiac story is, you know, result of the media attention, the public fascination that surrounded the case. But at the same time, there's also a massive and very long-ranging investigation, there was, that went on behind the scenes. Countless law enforcement officers, from local cops to FBI, all worked together to try to stop him. Their efforts obviously didn't make it into the endless stream of press coverage because there wasn't a lot to say beyond we don't really have much to go on, but we're trying.
Well, and you don't want to be like, here's what they're doing to catch him. Because he's just going to be like, cool.
First, they started here. Yeah. Then they went here. And like we know, he had left some evidence behind at the crime scene, and he provided some clues throughout everything that he was doing, but they never got any major breaks in the case. But there were actually at least 13 other murders where the Zodiac was briefly considered a suspect. It's just that they could never be confidently connected. He could never confidently be connected to the case.
Which is what he wanted.
Yep. And while it's true that there were never any major breaks in the case, like I just said, there have been close to 2,500 suspects over the course of the case.
That's horrible.
Which is wild.
That's pretty terrible.
Yeah, over 2,500 in general, with at least a handful of them being considered by investigators to be serious.
Wow.
Yeah. This episode is brought to you by SoFi, the all-in-one finance app where you can bank, borrow, and invest all in one place. Let's talk about bank accounts for a second. The average bank savings rate is 0.39% in interest. You're earning pennies on your savings, and it doesn't have to be that way. But with SoFi's high-yield checkings and savings, the money barely making moves sitting in your savings account can earn over 8 times the national average savings rate with eligible direct deposit. No account or overdraft fees. We love transparency. You can get your paycheck up to 2 days early, plus get up to a $300 welcome bonus when you sign up with eligible direct deposit. Sign up for SoFi checking and savings at SoFi.com/morbid. SoFi checking and savings is offered through SoFi Bank, N.A., member FDIC. Terms apply. Getting scared is one thing. Getting a thrill is, well, you want more of those in your life. The Genesis GV70 is built to thrill, baby. A thrilling yet elegant design always makes driving the GV70 an exciting adventure. Its powerful athletic stance screams performance and turns heads. Everybody's looking at you, girl, or boy, or whoever. Command the road and experience a class-leading standard 300 horsepower, oh my God,
Plus, discover the different dynamic drive modes for all different terrains. Choose between the different terrain modes for whatever road conditions you may encounter. The Genesis GV70's award-winning technology and performance lets you drive with comfort and drive with confidence all at the same time. It's an exciting SUV with intuitive tech that can make your ride smooth even when the road isn't. And its blind spot cameras allow you to see what's next to you. It's like having eyes on the side of your head. That's pretty iconic. Its performance, by the way, is measured not only in power, but in how it makes you feel confident, sexy. The Genesis GV70. Learn more at genesis.com and feel the GV70.
But with a suspect list so long, and one that includes a number of actually high-profile killers like Ted Kaczynski and Charles Manson, it would be pretty impossible for us to sit here and go through every single suspect.
Yeah.
So we're going to get into the 3 most popular suspects. People
Just
have
kidding.
talked
We're
about
going
the
to sit
most.
down and we're going to go through 2,500 of the suspects.
Okay, are you sitting down? Does anybody have to go to the bathroom?
The next 3 years of Morbid is going to be just dedicated to the suspects of the Zodiac Killer.
Okay, so today we're going to, can you imagine? All right, so the first one is Richard Gaikowski. When the Zodiac murders started, he was living in the San Francisco area. He had been living there for about 6 years, and he was working as the editor at the popular newspaper Good Times.
Good times.
Good times, man. He would have been within a short distance of 2 of the Zodiac crime scenes, which were the Lake Herman Road and the Blue Rock Springs attacks. He does bear a resemblance to the sketches of the Zodiac released in the press, and all of the evidence against him is circumstantial, but some of it is pretty compelling. So when Mike Mageau gave his statement to the police after his attack, he mentioned that he had actually been chased by one of Darlene's former boyfriends just before they were assaulted that night.
Huh.
Yeah. He said, I thought he drove off and drove away, but he came back later and shot us. So he really thought it was that person.
And he does resemble the sketch.
He does.
I looked him
He
up.
very much does. And Mike continued, she told me it was a friend of hers and he was just jealous. She mentioned his name and she referred to him as Richard. And later, Darlene Ferrin's sister, Diane, claimed her sister did in fact have a former boyfriend named Richard who was a journalist.
Oh.
So those 2 things link up.
Interesting.
Now, another circumstantial piece of evidence, Nancy Slover, I think it is, a former police dispatcher who took the call from the Zodiac after the Ferrin murder, after Darlene's murder. She listened to a tape of Gaikowski's voice in 2009, and she was very confident that it was the same voice she heard on the night of the murder.
Interesting.
She said, I listened to the voice of Richard and I felt shock and deja vu. In my opinion, he was the same person I listened to in July of 1969.
Wow.
This next one creeps me out. It will give you the chills. Paul Stein, the young cab driver who was murdered, his sister claimed that a man resembling Gaikowski was at her brother's funeral, but she had no idea, she had no way of knowing who he was at the time.
Oh, shit.
But then later, when it was brought to her attention, she was like, oh, I saw somebody that looked
guy.
just like that.
Well, and if you look at the police sketch, look at the composite, and you look at, there's a picture of Gaikowski where he's making the exact same face as the composite. Because in the composite, the one where the mouth is closed, he's doing almost a little like a
smirk,
like a sneer,
yeah,
almost, but it's very subtle. There's a picture where he's doing the same thing with his mouth.
Hold on, I'm looking.
And the eyebrows are very similar, they're that low set eyebrow. And he's got the same glasses.
He does have the same glasses.
Even the hairline is the same.
Yeah. And the narrowness of the forehead.
Yeah.
The hairline
the
and everything.
That's pretty crazy.
Yeah. Even the lips look very similar.
Yeah, the lips and the way he does that little slight sneer with his lips.
It's pretty
compelling.
It is pretty
that picture
compelling.
is, at least.
It is. Well, in the last big piece of circumstantial evidence against him, a lot of his coworkers at Good Times found him to be pretty strange. And in 1971, they actually filed paperwork to have him involuntarily committed to the Napa State Mental Hospital.
Whoa.
And there he was diagnosed with an undisclosed mental illness, but that hospitalization would have coincided with the drop-off in communication from the Zodiac in 1971.
Okay.
And remember, when he came back, he didn't say shit all about where he had been, when they got the next letter. So that's
Guys,
interesting.
That's a compelling
That's
one.
interesting. He was investigated by the FBI after Darlene Ferrin's murder, but told investigators that he was out of the country at the time, which effectively ruled him out as a suspect. But according to amateur investigator Tom Voigt, Gaikowski had actually lost his passport just before the murders, so it wouldn't have been possible for him to leave the country.
Oh my, guys.
Yeah.
Like, this one seems like
It seems
A-plus
very
suspect
compelling.
here.
And Voigt alleges that the FBI never bothered to follow up on Gaikowski's alibi, but if they had, they wouldn't have ruled him out.
Hey, FBI, what the fuck?
Honestly. And after being released from the Napa State Hospital, Gaikowski went back to San Francisco, where he just opened a small movie theater and a store and managed a few local punk bands.
Whoa.
Which is just wild, while also advocating for progressive political issues.
Huh.
So maybe he did get some kind of treatment that helped him in the hospital, and maybe, obviously speculating here, but maybe received ongoing treatment.
Whoa.
That got him in check.
Whoa.
But he did pass away in 2004. And at least one former coworker has been very vocal about him being the Zodiac, but he's never been seriously investigated by law enforcement.
That's wild.
Yeah.
That's wild.
If anyone that you know, like, if you think someone's the Zodiac, you know a wild ass person.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like,
I can't imagine one of my
story
friends
there.
I can't imagine one of my friends being like, I think that like you might be a notorious serial killer.
Like, if somebody thinks that, then like you've really done some stuff.
Yeah.
You really showed your ass in that relationship.
I love that phrase. I think that phrase is so funny.
Because I mean, it is a perfect description.
It is.
Yeah.
I think he's very compelling. But
I do too.
Our next one is Gary Francis Post. In 2021, an independent group of retired investigators known as the Case Breakers, which I love.
That's amazing.
It reminds me of in Yellow Jackets.
Yeah,
like
that's what I was thinking.
Yep.
I almost said it.
Like the web sleuths.
Yes.
Well, they identified Gary Francis Post as the man who was most likely to have been the Zodiac Killer. He was a former member of the U.S. Air Force, and he had a very long history of very violent behavior, including a history of domestic violence. He lived within a 15-minute drive of several crime scenes while the murders were taking place. And like Richard Gaikowski, the case against Post is built entirely on circumstantial evidence and has been refuted by the FBI, but he remains a popular suspect with the case breakers and just people who enjoy true crime in general. According to the group Case Breakers, photos showed Mr. Post with supposed scars on his forehead that they believed matched marks shown on a police sketch of the Zodiac Killer. And that's among a handful of facts related to physical evidence that they believe makes him a strong suspect. Others include the fact that a size 10 military-style boot print was discovered at one of the crime scenes, and that was similar to the style of boots that he was known to have worn at the time. So that's interesting.
Okay.
Also, a Timex watch band was discovered at one of the crime scenes, which investigators believe was purchased at a military base around the mid to late 60s, which is when he would have been in the military. Perhaps maybe the most important, at least as far as the case breakers are concerned, is his supposed link to the murder of Sherry Jo Bates, an 18-year-old girl who was killed in Riverside in 1966. That fall, she started her first year at Riverside Community College, and the last time she was seen was when she was studying at the library on the night of October 30th. The next morning, a groundskeeper on the campus had just started street sweeping when he came across her body in an alley on campus. Yeah. And police believe her killer had disabled her vehicle and then waited for her to go back to her car, which is so fucking terrifying. At some point in the life of the Zodiac case, Sherry Jo Bates was considered actually to be one of the victims linked to the Zodiac.
Oh.
And the case breakers believe that Post was responsible for her death.
Interesting.
Given the link between her murder and the Zodiac and his history of violent behavior and enthusiasm for guns and military propaganda, they think he's the best suspect.
Okay.
But despite their enthusiasm, investigators on the Zodiac case completely reject their theory, and they ruled him out completely as a suspect. Yeah. In 2021, a spokesperson for the Riverside Police said, in 2016, investigators received an anonymous letter from a person admitting the handwritten letter sent to our department months after Sherry Jo Bates was murdered was written as a sick joke and that he was not the Zodiac Killer. Which,
fucked up.
That's not any kind of joke. That's ridiculous. Riverside police officer Ryan Railsback went a step further when he told ABC News, "We don't know how we can be any more clear. The $50,000 private reward is still valid. If someone has any information on the Bates case, please come forward." So he was like, "It's not this guy."
Yeah.
Like we looked at him.
That one doesn't compel me any further.
No, I feel the same way. So the FBI and the Riverside police and me and Elena might have ruled Gary Post out as a Zodiac suspect, but the case breakers remain committed to their belief that he is the guy. In an interview with Post's former neighbor, referred only to as Gwenny, the woman told the reporters he, meaning Gary, lived a double life. As I'm an adult thinking back, it all kind of makes sense now. At the time when I was a teenager, I didn't put two and two together until I got older. It hit me full blown that Gary's the Zodiac.
This case is so wild because it's so different from any other case where people just confidently indict people to be the Zodiac.
It's like that guy over there.
In this case, they're literally like, yeah, it just fucking hit me like a ton of bricks that Gary over there is the Zodiac. And it's just like, you literally can't say that. You can't do that.
That is quite an indictment, ma'am.
You just can't. Like, that's like, my neighbor's annoying. The Zodiac.
Zodiac.
It's just like, what are we doing?
And just to be like, I never thought about it before, but
you know
now
what?
that the case breaker said it,
It just
Zodiac,
tap.
period.
That guy's the Zodiac. And it's just like, you literally can't do that.
That's lawless.
But it's just, this is the case that really happens so often and has happened for decades.
Yeah.
For decades, people have not just been like, oh, I think this person should be looked at as the Zodiac. People are like, that
It's
is the
him,
Zodiac killer.
definitively.
That man right there is the Zodiac killer.
It's wild.
It's fascinating to watch.
It is. It's also scary.
It's very scary.
Humans do crazy shit.
We're wildin'.
Well, this next one and last one that we'll talk about is also very interesting. The Gaikowski suspect is
So
a
far,
strong
he's
one.
my guy.
He's strong. Post, not so much. This one, back to strong.
Okay.
This is Arthur Lee Allen. So Gaikowski and Post may top the list of amateur investigators, but as far as the members of the actual Zodiac task force were concerned, the most compelling suspect and the only person to ever be publicly identified by investigators was former elementary school teacher Arthur Lee Allen.
Hate that.
Yeah, I hate that he was an elementary school teacher.
Yeah, I hate that a lot.
He served in the U.S. Navy, and he was honorably discharged in 1959. And 2 years later, in 1961, he moved to the San Francisco Bay Area, found work as a teacher, until he was fired in 1968 when a student made accusations of sexual misconduct.
Oh.
Weirdly, he was generally well-liked, but a lot of people in later years did find him to be strange.
Okay.
And later, friends and neighbors would find similarities between the things that the Zodiac wrote in letters and comments made by Allen over the years. Just like the way he spoke and certain things he would say. It should also be said that Allen was the number one suspect for the lead detective on the case, who was Dave Toshi. And also a former San Francisco Chronicle writer, Robert Graysmith, who covered the case extensively for the paper. He also believed that this was like the number one guy.
Really?
In a 2007 interview, Graysmith said, Dave and George Baywart of the Vallejo police, they're convinced the Zodiac is Arthur Lee Allen. And Graysmith and others who believe that Allen was the killer are not just speculating. They do cite some pretty compelling evidence. On the day of the attack at Lake Berryessa, Arthur Lee Allen was known to be only one of 9 people to visit the lake that day.
Wow.
That's compelling.
Yeah.
Also on that same day, a Vallejo police officer pulled him over for speeding that afternoon, like the same day as the attack at the lake. And when the officer looked in the back of Allen's car, he discovered a bloody hunting knife, which Allen said he used to kill chickens.
Oh.
Yup. Before the killing started, Allen frequently bragged to his friends that he was, quote, going to hunt couples at night, send letters to the press, and call himself Zodiac. Before any of this happened.
I mean, whoa.
Allen's coworker, Don Chaney, told police about these statements and voluntarily took and passed a polygraph.
Wow.
Yeah. In 1971, Chaney reported Allen to the police after he made several alarming statements indicating a, quote, desire to commit violence, some of which, some of the things he was saying were similar to statements made in the Zodiac letters. He said, quote, that phrase about picking the little darlings off, I remembered that, and that's what forced me to go to the police.
Wow, this is compelling.
Compelling, right?
Yeah.
After their interview with Cheney in 1971, police actually interviewed Allen a number of times, and they searched his home where they discovered hunting knives inside, as well as a freezer of dead hamsters, squirrels, and birds.
Dead hamsters?
I don't know, man. But yeah. And in 1991, they searched his home again, and this time they found, quote, some writings, some pipe bombs, and some illegal weapons.
Oh.
Yeah. Vallejo Police Captain Roy Conway told the San Francisco Chronicle in 1992 none of it was sufficient to make an arrest for him being the Zodiac.
Huh.
Yeah. Now, in 2002, DNA and fingerprint analysis was conducted comparing Allen's DNA and fingerprints to those found on the Zodiac letters, and they were not a match, which ruled him out as a suspect. But I don't know. This one's weird.
Yeah.
Despite that finding, in 2018, Vallejo police detective Terry Poser told reporters, our Vallejo suspect, Allen, is probably still the best lead. There are probably 30 different circumstantial things that point to him. He was extremely intelligent, but a deviant dude. Unfortunately, he died of natural causes in 1992.
Guys.
Yeah. Now, in 2004, the case was officially made inactive by higher-ups at the San Francisco Police Department. They explained that their caseload required them to just set aside some older unsolved cases. It makes sense. But in 2007, the case was reopened when investigators wanted to do additional DNA testing. And in 2018, after the capture of Joseph James D'Angelo, the Golden State Killer, using familiar DNA testing, another profile was put together actually using the DNA from samples from the Zodiac letters. But the results were inconclusive.
Of course they were.
Yeah. But as of now, the case does remain open with the FBI.
Holy shit.
And that is the infamous Zodiac case.
Gaikowski is still is the one that hits.
Gaikowski hits really, really hard.
Yeah.
He's up there.
Especially the fact that he was like involuntarily put in a hospital.
And it
for
lines
mental
up with the
illness,
timing.
because there is some mental illness in those letters.
Absolutely.
Very evident.
The number one thing for me, or tied for number one pieces of evidence against Arthur Lee Allen, are the fact that he was at Lake Berryessa that day and only one of 9 people.
Yeah.
And then the fact that he got pulled over that afternoon and had a bloody hunting knife.
Yeah, that's pretty wild.
Like,
he doesn't look like the sketch.
I know. And Richard Gaikowski,
he literally looks identical to
he looks exactly like the sketch.
Not that I'm just going off the sketch.
No, you can't just go off that. But when you have all those other circumstantial pieces of evidence that we talked about, and then he looks like the sketch.
He also looks exactly like it. It's like,
yeah.
That is interesting.
It's so interesting too. Like, it's so weird because you hear like Zodiac and in your mind you're like, he killed like so many people.
Yeah.
But there's only, and it's awful, but there's only 5 that are confirmed.
Yeah.
You just wonder how many people he actually killed.
Yeah, because he claimed like somewhere in the 30s.
Yeah, I think it ended up being like 37, something like that. So. And it's like, how
many people weren't connected?
That's the thing. And again, like the police came out and said themselves there were cases that were considered, but they just couldn't conclusively link them. It's just like scary.
Yeah.
It freaks you out.
Yeah.
It's a very wild, very
I feel like
interesting
they can solve
case.
it though.
I mean, they solved the Golden State Killer case after how many
lost.
years? Nope. Like you always say, a cold case is never cold.
It's never cold.
Yeah, just gotta warm it up a little.
Just thaw it out.
Yeah.
You know?
So thaw that out, guys.
Yeah.
And we hope you keep listening.
We hope you
keep
it
weird. But not so weird that we don't solve the Zodiac Killer case, because can you fucking imagine if that's solved within our lifetimes?
Let's go.
It'd be crazy.
Let's do it.
Who knows?
In the U.S., there's a break-in every 26 seconds. But when intruders step near, Simply Safe Home Security steps up.
Stop. This is Simply Safe. Police are on the way.
Using AI alerts, U.S.-based live agents help deter break-ins. Simply Safe, no long-term contracts. Save 50% on your new system with professional monitoring at simplysafe.com/SXM or with promo code SXM.
Outdoor deterrence requires a Simply Safe Active Guard outdoor protection plan starting at $49.99 a month. Visit simplysafe.com/licenses for alarm license information. Tennessee 2012.
Talk about regrets. We all know someone who's been in a car accident and said, I don't need to call a lawyer, only to regret it after their pain and damages were worse than expected. When someone hurts you, you deserve to be compensated fairly. Morgan & Morgan is America's largest injury law firm, fighting for the people for over 35 years. Injured? Visit forthepeople.com/podcast. That's forthepeople.com/podcast. Their fee is free unless they win.